Hello, my name's David, and today I'm going to be talking to you about engaging young people with nature and my role as a youth representative for the British Trust for Ornithology. So first of all, just a little bit about me. So I'm in the second year of my conservation biology and ecology degree at the University of Exeter on their campus in Cornwall. I'm a youth rep for the BTO. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that later on. I'm also a volunteer ranger for the Natural History Society of Northumbria, and you may well have seen me at Gossip Nature Reserve, where I spend a lot of my time when I'm at home in Newcastle, either volunteering or looking out for birds and other wildlife. So why is it so important to engage young people with nature? Well, there's a growing disconnection from nature, particularly among young people, with a lot of young people spending a lot more time indoors or on computer screens. Engaging with nature is also hugely beneficial for happiness and well-being, and plenty of studies have demonstrated the benefits for both mental and physical health. Also, nature is just so incredible and amazing, and everyone should have the opportunity to engage with it. I think everyone really has a love of nature. It's just discovering it and having the initial connection and opportunity to realize how amazing nature is. And finally, young people are the conservationists of the future, and it's really important that young people love and care for the natural world if they are to protect it in the future. And this is incredibly important in the face of the ecological and climate crises. So if there are so many benefits to engaging with nature, why aren't more young people connected to nature? And I think this comes down to a number of barriers. One of these is travel. I think a lot of nature reserves and events are taking place in rural areas and can be really difficult to reach as a young person who either can't drive or doesn't have access to a car or lifts. And even those that can be reached by public transport can often take a lot of time or money to get there. But I think it's important that we also highlight the amazing nature reserves and natural spaces in urban areas, like we're lucky enough to have at Gossip Nature Reserve in Newcastle. And these are fantastic places to go bird watching and spend time outside if you can't get to more rural locations. Another issue is a lack of time. I think as much as all of us would like to spend more time outside, I think have increasingly busy and hectic schedules with studying and work that prevent you spending as much time as you might like to outdoors. Another issue is the cost of events, training, and transport can be really prohibitive, as well as the cost of equipment. I think binoculars and telescopes and bird books can be quite expensive and really stop people developing that initial interest in nature, because I think having access to some of these things is really important to take your interest to the next level. But with the financial barriers, I think that can be difficult to a lot of people and be a bit off-putting if you're just trying to get started out. And then another thing inhibiting a lot of people just trying to get started in birding is being low on confidence. I think there's often kind of a feel that you have to be sort of an expert to be a bird watcher or know everything about birds, but really this isn't and shouldn't be the case, because everyone makes mistakes. I think it's just a continuous learning process. So it's important that people are really welcoming and accept that you might not be the most knowledgeable, but as long as you're enthusiastic and willing to learn, I think that's the most important thing. It's also important to make birding a much more inclusive and diverse community, be welcoming to young people trying to get started in a hobby who might not have any mentors or people they can look up to that are like them, which I think can put a lot of people off it because it is stereotypically seen as just sort of a hobby for old white males. So this is why BTO Youth comes in, trying to address some of these barriers that are preventing young people engaging with nature. So the British Trust for Ornithology is a UK charity dedicated to monitoring birds, and its vision is for a world inspired by birds and informed by science. It relies on a huge team of amazing volunteers who go out in the field and to do volunteer surveys, collecting data on everything from breeding birds and wetland birds to nesting birds and even birds in gardens. And all this data is super important to be used to study the bird populations and how they're doing in Britain. 2 years ago now, the BTO set up a youth advisory panel, which is a team of young volunteers who worked on developing a youth engagement strategy to inspire the next generation of young bird watchers. And one of the schemes that the Youth Advisory Panel set up was the Youth Rep scheme. There's now 24 of us all across the country, and there's a team of 3 of us down in Cornwall. I'm going to be talking a bit more about what we've been up to as youth reps in the past year or so. So the equipment donation scheme is a fantastic scheme that was set up by the Youth Advisory Panel. And how it works is it relies on donations of unwanted binoculars, telescopes and bird books from people who are no longer using them, or they might be gathering dust or not being taken out in the field for a long time. So these are then donated and redistributed to young people who might struggle to be able to afford this equipment otherwise. So it's really benefited a lot of young individuals, school groups and university societies are able to get access to these resources to take their bird watching to the next level. So the scheme's been hugely successful so far, with over 700 binoculars, telescopes and bird books donated last year and redistributed to young people who need them. There's also a link here if you either need to get some binoculars or you have some that you'd be willing to donate to young people. And it's been incredible to see the feedback. Whenever I hear about how young people have benefited, it's just amazing to think that the impact it's had on some of these young people and really kind of help them engage with nature and see birds in a whole different way, really, and just put the binoculars and telescopes to good use if they've not really been used. For some people, young people using them every day and seeing all sorts of amazing birds with them. These are just a couple of comments from recipients, but it's always amazing to get the feedback and hear about how it's impacted their lives. So one of the projects that the youth reps have been working on is Naturenatas. So it's a series of Q&A sessions on Zoom with a whole variety of different people working in jobs related to wildlife. So we've had all sorts of people from zoologists and filmmakers, conservationists, heads of different conservation organisations. It's been really fantastic to give this opportunity for it just to be young people 25 and under to be able to first hear from these speakers and then have the opportunity to ask questions. It's been really insightful to hear about their career paths and journeys and personal experiences. And I think there's been some amazing questions and everyone seems to have got a lot out of the sessions, which is fantastic. So I've had some amazing speakers already, and these have all been recorded and are now up on the BTO's YouTube channel, so they're well worth checking out if you have missed any. But we also have plenty more people coming, so it's definitely worth booking on to some of them. I think our next one is Becky Spiers, who is the CEO of the RSPB, so it should be fascinating to hear what she has to say. I'm sure there'll be lots of interesting insights into running of such a huge conservation organisation like the RSPB. So you can book your free place on the website if you're interested. Another virtual event that we've been working on is Birding 101, which is a free training programme for young people aged 25 and under. So it's aimed at building up skills and confidence in IDing birds, both by sound and sight, as well as giving lots of insights and fun facts into bird behaviour and ecology, migration and different BTO surveys. So there have been some fantastic sessions so far. I think there's still 3 more to come as well. So they're definitely well worth checking out if you haven't been to any yet. It's been really good working on these virtual events as well, because it's something we maybe hadn't envisaged when we were kind of initially got the role, but with the pandemic kind of preventing us running stuff in person, it's been amazing to make use of Zoom to run these programs and reach a much wider audience than we would have done otherwise. So there's been almost 140 people, I think, attend Birding 101 so far. So it's just been fantastic to see so much interest and so many young people getting engaged with nature. Of course, in-person events still play a big part of what we're doing, and we've managed to run quite a few, but I think we're looking to run a lot more, especially now restrictions have been removed. So we've had a whole host of things going on, from sort of guided bird walks to ringing demos, survey training, and museum visits, and all sorts really. So in Cornwall, me along with Kate and Alice, who are the other BTO youth reps, have been working on running a few different events, mostly in collaboration with the university's EcoSoc and our bird rep Sam. And it's been really great to reach out to so many students and give them some tips and help get them involved in different BTO surveys and find out more about birds as well. So one of the first events we ran was the wetland bird survey training. So a wetland bird survey is a monthly survey run by the BTO, where Webs counters go out and count all the water birds using their website, which would be like a lake or river, or estuary, or even a coast. And it's a really good survey to get started on, because it doesn't require too much of a time commitment and suits a whole range of skill levels. From the site can really range from like a local village pond where you might just see like less than 5 different species, for example, like your mallards and coots, but to a site where you might have hundreds of birds and waders to count. So the training was really successful. It was a whole day thing, and in the morning we're in the classroom just discussing the survey and how to identify different ducks and geese and waders and gulls. And so it's really nice, and we made sure it's quite interactive with different activities like matching the different pairs of ducks. So I think that kept everyone really interested. And then in the afternoon, we were able to put what we'd learned into practice and go out with the local webs counter to do a mock webs count. So it was really nice just to get outside and have a look and see what there was about and find out what it's actually like to do the survey. And we also have a website at a local reservoir, at a local lake, which we count every month. So that's been good as well, having an opportunity to kind of either continue to develop new skills or just get a taste of what the survey's like by doing an actual webs count. The other event that we've been running was a ringing demo. So this was really nice for people to maybe see birds being ringed for the first time. It's an amazing way to see birds up close and find out a lot about what we learn from ringing, like about migration and survival. So it's been really fantastic. I think that it was a really popular event and everyone seemed to really enjoy it, which was great to hear. And that was the same with the webs training. I think it was limited to about 10 places, and within advertising it about an hour or so before all of the places had been booked up. So we did run it a second time and it proved just as popular. So that was really nice to see that there's a good attendance. So we've got a lot of plans coming up in the future as well. So I think we're hoping to do a lot more events, and I'm looking to hopefully do some events in the Northeast when I'm home with Easter and the summer. We don't currently have a youth rep based in the Northeast, so there haven't been any events there so far, but I'm looking to change that. So definitely keep a lookout for any future events in the area. In Cornwall, we're looking to set up a nest recording group. It's a survey that I've really got interested in just last year, and it's been fantastic to learn so much about finding and recording nests and the valuable data it collects for studying bird productivity and breeding success. So hoping to have set up a group at the university campus and have regular nest finding and recording sessions to try and increase the amount of data we have on these species, which are often very under-recorded, and also teach people lots of really useful skills. And finally, Bird Camp is back this year after not being able to run it the last few years because of COVID. We now have bird camps taking place in all of England, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales. So it should be really good to have them up and running again, and I definitely encourage you to apply if you're under 18. So here's just a few links of some of the things I've mentioned if you do want to find out more about the youth rep scheme, or if you either would like to apply for or donate any binoculars or telescopes or bird books. There's a link to the equipment donation scheme, as well as links to all our events, Birding 101 and Bird Camp if you want to apply your book for any of these. So finally, I just wanted to say thank you all for listening. And thank you to the Natural History Society for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. And please do get in touch if you have any questions and want to find out more. You can either contact me by email or get in touch on Twitter. Thank you.